This is Max and Mia podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Max and Mia podcast. I'm Max.
And I'm Mia. Really glad you decided to join us today. Whether this is your first time here or you've been with us for a while, we're happy to have you.
Absolutely. We put a lot of work into each episode, so it genuinely means a lot when people show up and listen. Thank you for that.
And if you're enjoying what we do, the best way to support us is actually pretty simple. Hit that subscribe button. It helps more people find the show, and honestly, it keeps us going.
It really does. All right, let's not waste any more time. We have a great episode lined up for you today, so let's get into it.
Okay, so today we're talking about something that, if you've ever traveled or moved to another country, you know exactly what we mean.
That moment when someone local looks at you and says, "So, how are you finding it here?"
Yes. Or, what do you think of the city so far? Or, is there anything you don't like? You know those questions. They seem simple, but a lot of people freeze up because they don't know how to answer beyond just saying, "It's good. I like it."
And look, there's nothing wrong with that answer. But when you're at a B1 or B2 level, you actually have the tools to say a lot more. The problem is not the grammar. It's not really even the vocabulary. It's more about not knowing how to put it all together in a natural way.
Exactly. Like, you know the words, but in that moment, your brain just goes blank.
So that's what we want to work on today. And to get there, we picked 4 words and expressions that are going to help you sound much more natural when you're talking about this kind of experience. Let's go through them one by one.
First one, to find your feet. This means to start feeling comfortable in a new place or situation. It takes time, right? You don't just arrive somewhere and immediately feel at home.
For example, I only moved here 2 months ago, so I'm still finding my feet. Simple, but it says a lot. It tells the other person that you're adjusting, that things are getting better, but you're not quite there yet. Okay, next one, hustle and bustle. This refers to the busy, noisy, energetic atmosphere of a place, usually a city.
So instead of just saying, "The city is very busy," you could say, "I love the hustle and bustle of the city center. There's always something going on." It sounds much more natural, and people will notice that. All right, number 3, walkable. This one is pretty straightforward. A place is walkable when you can get to most things on foot without needing a car or public transport.
And this comes up a lot in these conversations. Something like, "One of the things I really appreciate is how walkable the neighborhood is. I can reach the supermarket, the park, the coffee shop, all on foot." People love hearing that, by the way, especially locals. And the last one, overwhelming. This means when something is too much to handle at once. Too much information, too many people, too many new things at the same time.
This is a very honest word to use. For example, the first week was a bit overwhelming. Everything was new and I didn't really know where to start. And the good thing about this word is that it works in both directions. Things can be overwhelming in a bad way, but also in a good way.
Right, like, the view from the top was completely overwhelming. That's a good thing.
Exactly. Context matters.
Okay, so now that we have those 4 expressions, let's put them to work.
We have our first conversation of the day coming up, and you're going to hear a lot of what we just talked about. So pay attention, and let's see how many of those words you can catch.
All right, so here's the setup. We have Daniel, who's a local, and Sophie, who has just arrived in the city about 2 weeks ago. They run into each other and Daniel does what most locals do. He asks how she's settling in.
And this is exactly the kind of conversation we were talking about earlier. It sounds casual, but there's actually a lot going on. So listen carefully and pay attention to how Sophie responds when things get a bit personal.
Let's go.
Hey, so how long have you been here now? Like a month?
No, just about 2 weeks, actually.
2 weeks. Okay, so still very fresh. How are you finding it so far?
Honestly, it's been a lot. Like a good lot, but still, a lot. The first few days were pretty overwhelming. I didn't really know where anything was. I kept getting lost, and everything just felt very big.
Yeah, that makes sense. It takes a bit. Are you starting to feel more settled now?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I'm still finding my feet, but it's getting better. I figured out the metro, which was honestly a win for me.
That's huge, actually. A lot of people struggle with that for weeks.
Right? I was so proud of myself. But yeah, little by little. I think what's helped the most is that the area where I'm staying is really walkable. Like, I don't need to take a bus or anything to get to the basics. That's made things a lot easier.
Oh yeah, that part of town is great for that. Everything's pretty close.
Exactly. And that's been, I don't know, kind of grounding. When everything else feels new and confusing, at least I can just go outside and walk somewhere without having to figure out a whole route.
That makes a lot of sense. But what about the people? Have you had a chance to interact with many locals?
Some. I think people here are generally pretty welcoming. Like, whenever I've asked for help or directions, everyone's been really approachable. Nobody's made me feel stupid for not knowing things, which I really appreciate.
That's good to hear.
But at the same time, I get the sense that people also kind of mind their own business, like friendly when you talk to them, but nobody's going to just walk up and start a conversation out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate, honestly. I think we're a bit reserved by default. Not cold, just we need a little time.
No, I get it. I'm actually the same way back home. I just wasn't sure if it was a cultural thing or if I was reading it wrong.
No, you're reading it right. But once people open up, they really do. It just takes a moment.
That's reassuring, because I do want to actually connect with people here, not just pass through, you know?
Are you planning to stay long?
That's the plan, yeah. I mean, I'm still trying to settle in properly, but I think I could really see myself here. The hustle and bustle of the city is something I actually enjoy. I was worried it might get to me, but so far, it feels more exciting than stressful.
You say that now.
I know. Ask me again in 3 months.
I will. But honestly, it sounds like you're adjusting well. 2 weeks in, and you've already figured out the metro and found a walkable neighborhood. You're ahead of most people.
That's a low bar, but I'll take it.
Fair enough. Well, if you ever need tips or just want to know what's worth doing around here, feel free to ask.
I really appreciate that. Seriously, people like you make it so much easier to settle into a new place.
That's what we're here for. Welcome to the city.
Thank you. Finally starting to feel like it.
Okay, so one thing I want to point out about that conversation is how Sophie handled the negative parts. Because when someone asks, "How are you finding it?" a lot of people either say, "Everything is perfect," which doesn't sound real, or they go the other way and just complain. Sophie did neither.
Right. She was honest without being negative. She said it was overwhelming, but then immediately gave it context. A good lot, but still a lot. That balance is what makes you sound natural. You're not performing, you're just talking.
And the other thing I noticed is how she handled uncertainty. There were moments where she wasn't sure if she was reading the culture correctly, and instead of pretending she understood everything, she just said it. I wasn't sure if it was a cultural thing or if I was reading it wrong. That kind of honesty actually invites the other person in. It keeps the conversation going.
That's a really good point. A lot of learners feel like they have to sound confident all the time, but sometimes saying "I'm not sure" or "correct me if I'm wrong" is exactly what opens things up.
And Daniel, on his side, confirmed her observation without making it a big thing. He didn't over-explain the culture or get defensive. Just, yeah, that's pretty accurate. Short, natural, moves on. That's something worth practicing too. You don't always have to say a lot.
All right, let's keep moving. We have a second topic today, and honestly, this one hits a little closer to home.
So, picture this. You meet someone, things are going well, and then they ask you, "So, what were you like before? What did your life look like back home?" Or maybe, "What kind of things did you used to do?"
And suddenly your brain switches into what I call used to mode. I used to do this, I used to go there, I used to eat that, and it just loops.
We've all been there. And the thing is, used to is correct. It works. But if you use it 15 times in 2 minutes, it starts to feel like a list, not a story. And that's the difference between B1 and B2 right there.
So what do you do instead? That's what we want to talk about. But first, 3 expressions that are going to help you tell these kinds of stories in a much more interesting way.
First one, back in the day. This is a very natural, slightly nostalgic way to refer to the past. Not a specific year, just a time before, a time that feels a bit distant now.
For example, back in the day, I would take the bus everywhere. I didn't even own a car. It sets the scene immediately. You feel the distance between then and now. Second one, to look back on something. This means to think about a past experience from where you are now, usually with some kind of reflection or feeling attached to it.
So you could say, looking back on those years, I realize how much I took things for granted. It's not just remembering, it's reflecting. There's a difference, and that difference comes through. And the third one, to give up something or to give up a habit. This means to stop doing something, especially something you did regularly.
For example, I gave up eating fast food when I moved out. I just didn't have the time or the money for it anymore. Simple, but it tells a little story on its own. Okay, now the grammar part, and I promise this is more interesting than it sounds. Okay, now the grammar part. And I promise this is more interesting than it sounds. So you already know used to. It's great. It works for habits, routines, and states in the past. I used to live near the beach. I used to be really into football. All good.
But here's the thing. There's another structure that native speakers use all the time when they're telling stories about the past, and most learners at B1 level barely touch it. And that's would.
Not would for conditionals or future in the past. This is would for past habits and repeated actions. Things that happened regularly, over and over again.
So instead of saying, I used to go to my grandmother's house every Sunday, and I used to sit on the porch, and I used to help her cook, you can say, every Sunday I would go to my grandmother's house. I would sit on the porch with her for hours, and we would cook together.
It flows. It has rhythm. It sounds like you're actually telling a story, not reading off a list.
Now here's the one rule you have to remember. Would only works for actions, things you did repeatedly. You cannot use it for states, so you cannot say, I would be very shy or I would have a dog. For states, You stick with used to.
So, I used to be really shy is correct. But then you can follow it with, I would avoid talking to new people. I would sit at the back of the classroom. I would make up excuses to leave early. Actions. All good.
Once you get that, it really does change how your stories sound.
All right, let's hear it in action. Conversation number 2.
In this one, two friends are catching up after not seeing each other for a while. One of them has been living abroad, and they get into talking about what life used to be like back home. Pay attention to how would shows up, and notice how it changes the texture of what they're saying.
Here we go.
I still can't believe you've been gone for 2 years. It feels like you just left.
I know. And honestly, coming back feels strange. Like everything looks the same, but I'm different, I guess.
Do you miss it? Like the way things were before?
Yeah, not everything, but yeah. Back in the day, life was just simpler, you know? I had my routine, I knew where everything was.
What do you miss the most?
Honestly, the mornings. I would wake up early, make coffee, and just sit by the window for like 20 minutes before doing anything. No rush. And then I would walk to work. That walk was, I don't know, it was mine. Nobody bothered me. I had my music. I would stop at that little bakery on the corner sometimes.
Oh, the one on Mercer Street.
Yes. I would get a croissant and just eat it on the way. It sounds so small, but I really miss that.
That's not small at all. I get it.
And then when I moved, all of that just disappeared. The whole routine. I had to build everything from scratch.
Was that hard?
At first, yeah. I used to be really bad at sitting with uncertainty, and suddenly everything was uncertain. Where to buy groceries, how to get around, who to talk to. But you adapt. You have to.
Do you think you'll ever come back for good?
I look back on my time here and I feel a lot of warmth, you know? But I also think I gave up a version of myself that I don't want back. The person I was here was comfortable. Maybe too comfortable.
That's not a bad thing, James.
No, but growth isn't always comfortable, right? I think I needed the discomfort. I just wish I hadn't had to lose the croissants to get it.
We can fix that. The bakery's still there.
Then maybe there's hope after all.
And that's conversation number 2. James barely used used to more than once, and yet the whole thing felt full of the past. That's what would does. It carries the story.
And notice how he used I look back on right before the end. It wasn't just remembering, it was reflecting. There's a weight to it.
All right, we've covered a lot today, but we're not done yet.
Okay. So, something I want to bring up about that conversation, because I think it's easy to miss. James never once said, I miss my old life. He never said it directly, but you felt it the entire time. That's because he was specific.
That's the thing. I miss my old life is a statement, but I would stop at that little bakery on the corner and eat a croissant on the way to work is a picture. And pictures land differently. They make the other person feel something.
So, if you take one thing from that conversation, let it be that. When you're talking about the past, don't just name the feeling. Show it. Give the detail, give the moment, and the feeling takes care of itself.
And the other thing I noticed is how Clara responded. She didn't push. She didn't try to fix anything or tell James how to feel. She just said, "That's not a bad thing." Sometimes the most natural thing you can say in a conversation is just a short acknowledgement. It keeps the space open.
Right. You don't have to fill every silence with advice. That's actually a really common thing in English conversations that learners sometimes overlook. Less can genuinely be more.
All right, third and final topic of the day.
So we've talked about arriving somewhere new, and we've talked about looking back. Now let's talk about looking forward, because at some point in almost every real conversation, someone's going to ask you, "So what are your plans?" Or, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" Or even just, "What's next for you?"
And these questions sound simple, but they can actually be tricky to answer well. Not because you don't know what you want, but because talking about the future in a way that sounds natural and grounded takes a bit more than just saying, "I want to be successful," or "I hope things go well."
Those answers aren't wrong. They're just flat. And you have more than that.
So today we're ending with 2 expressions that are going to help you talk about your plans and expectations in a way that actually sounds like you've thought about them.
First one, in the long run. This means over a long period of time when you consider the final result rather than what's happening right now. It's useful when you're explaining a decision that might not make sense immediately, but will pay off eventually.
For example, it's a tough job and the hours are long, but in the long run, the experience is going to be worth it. Or, moving to a new country is hard at first, but in the long run, I think it's the best thing I could have done for myself. It adds perspective. It tells the other person you're thinking beyond the present moment. Second one, to set your sights on something. This means to decide that you want to achieve something and to focus your energy on it. It has a sense of intention behind it. You're not just hoping, you're aiming.
So instead of saying, "I want to work in design someday," you could say, "I've set my sights on working for a design studio in Europe. That's the direction I'm heading." It sounds confident without being arrogant. It tells the other person this isn't a vague dream, it's something you're actually working toward.
And you can combine both. I've set my sights on starting my own business. It might take a few years, but in the long run, I'd rather build something of my own than work for someone else forever. See how that flows?
Completely different energy from just saying, "I want to have my own business one day."
Exactly. Same idea, completely different impact.
All right, conversation number 3 is coming up, and this is the last one of the day. We'll be right back.
Can I ask you something kind of random?
Sure. Go ahead.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Do you even think about that stuff?
Honestly, all the time. Maybe too much. Why?
I don't know. I've been thinking about it a lot lately. I look at my life right now and it's fine. Everything is fine, but fine doesn't really feel like enough, you know?
Yeah, fine is comfortable, but it's also kind of silent. Like nothing's pulling you anywhere.
Exactly. That's exactly it. There's no pull.
So what would the pull look like for you if you could point to something?
I've always wanted to work in something creative, properly creative, not just making things look nice for someone else's brand, something that's actually mine.
Like what?
I've been writing, not a lot, just on the side, but I think I'd want to do something with that. I don't know if it's realistic.
Why does it have to be realistic right now?
That's a very easy thing to say.
I know, but I mean it. I think people get so caught up in whether something is realistic that they never even try to move toward it. And then 5 years go by and they're still in the same place, wondering why nothing changed.
So, what about you? What are you moving toward?
I've set my sights on opening my own studio.
graphic design, branding, that kind of thing. Small at first, just me and maybe one or two people, but that's the direction.
That's specific. I like that.
It took me a while to get that specific, though. For a long time, I just said, I want to do something creative, and that got me nowhere. The moment I actually named it, something shifted.
Naming it makes it real.
Exactly. And then you start making decisions around it, even small ones. Like I took on a client last month for almost nothing just because the project was exactly the kind of work I want to be doing more of. It didn't make sense financially right now, but in the long run, that's the portfolio I want to build.
See, that's what I mean. You have a logic behind your choices. I feel like I'm just reacting to things. Whatever comes up, I deal with it, and then I wait for the next thing.
That's not a personality flaw, Ryan. That's just not having a direction yet. It's different.
Yeah, maybe.
Can I say something without it sounding like advice?
You can try.
The writing thing? Don't wait until it's the right time or until you have a plan around it. Just keep doing it. The plan usually shows up after, not before.
That's actually kind of reassuring.
Good, because I have no idea what I'm doing either. I just move and figure it out as I go.
Somehow that makes me feel a lot better.
That's what I'm here for.
Okay, so that conversation does something that I think is worth pointing out. Neither Ryan nor Nadia actually answered the original question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Never really gets a straight answer. And yet, by the end, you know exactly where both of them stand. That's what happens in real conversations. The question is just a door. What matters is what comes through it.
And I want to talk about Nadia for a second, because I think she's a good model for how to talk about your own ambitions without it sounding like a pitch. She didn't say, I'm going to be really successful, or I have a 5-year plan. She said, this is the direction. That's it. And it landed.
Because direction is something people can relate to. A perfect plan, not so much.
Right. And she backed it up with a real decision she'd made. The client she took for almost nothing because the work was right. That one detail said more about her than a whole speech about her goals would have.
Which brings us back to what we talked about with James earlier. Specificity. One real detail is worth more than 10 general statements. In any language, but especially when you're working in a second one.
And the last thing I'll say is about Ryan. He's not the one with the plan, he's the one still figuring it out. And that's also a valid place to speak from. You don't have to have everything sorted to have a real conversation about the future. Saying, I don't know yet, but here's what I feel, is a complete answer.
Honestly, one of the more useful things you can practice. Being comfortable talking about uncertainty without shutting the conversation down.
All right. That's a good place to close.
And that's it for today. 3 topics, 3 conversations, a handful of expressions that we hope actually stick because you heard them in context and not just in a list.
If you made it this far, genuinely, thank you. These episodes take time to put together, and knowing that someone listened all the way through means a lot to us.
If you got something out of this episode, the best thing you can do is share it with a friend, a classmate, anyone you know who's working on their English. It doesn't take much, and it helps more than you might think.
And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time. New episodes come out regularly, and we'd love to have you back.
Leave us a like if you enjoyed it. It helps other people find the show, and it lets us know we're on the right track.
That's all from us today. Take care of yourselves.
And we'll see you in the next one.